Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be doing something kind of fun today. I mean, I hope it'll be fun, but we're going to actually be going back to my first ever booktube video that I ever published. We're going to watch it together. We're going to react. We're going to see how far we've come since then. We're going to see what has stayed the same since that video. We're going to see what's changed since that video. I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be a fun kind of reflection moment. I mean, we have just hit a very exciting milestone on YouTube, as you know. So I just thought it was the perfect time to do a little bit of reflection, look back. I'm curious to see what books I was reading in this time when I started my booktube journey. So let's just get straight into it. So this video is my first official booktube video. Now I was doing YouTube for 1 or 2 years before I started booktube, but this is my first ever just purely solely book focused video, and this was published on November 1st, 2023. It's actually an October reading wrap up. So I love that the first ever booktube video I did was a wrap up. I genuinely don't remember that was the first one, but I feel like our wrap ups have become this kind of like ritual at this point. You know, we know they're coming every single month. We know what's gonna happen in them. And so yeah, let's see how this wrap up differs from my recent wrap ups that I do now. So in this month, I apparently read 11 books, which is pretty good. I completed 3 series, it says in the title. So this is when I was reading series back to back. Okay, that's for one, that's already changed. And it says only 1 sucked. So I guess only 1 book sucked in this month, which is a good thing. Anyways, I'm excited. Let's get into it. All right, let's go.
Hi everyone, it's me. This video is so exciting.
Okay, I'm so sorry for pausing it right away, but first of all, I love that the hi everyone, it's me intro has stuck this entire time. I was doing this intro even before I was doing booktube. I think when I made my first video, my first YouTube video ever, I was just like, I had no idea how to start a video. I wasn't familiar with intros. I didn't think of what my intro would be. I just turned on the camera and I was like, okay, what do I say now? And so I just said, hi everyone, it's me, which if you think about is kind of silly because obviously it's me. Like who else would I be? That's the only option. I have to be me. But that's how that came about. And yeah, I guess it's stuck since then. I just never stopped doing it, which I think is a similar experience to a lot of booktubers, because when you make your first ever booktube video, you don't think of like, what is my signature intro gonna be? You just turn the camera and you go, and if you start doing something, chances are it'll stick. So love that has stuck. Also, who remembers my blonde years? Who was here with me since I was blonde? I remember I was blonde for a very long time and it was such a fun phase, but honestly I'm kind of glad I'm over that phase in my life because my hair is so much more healthy now ever since I stopped bleaching it like all the time. You can actually see here my hair looks pretty like dry and fried, poor girl. And also love the fact that I'm just wearing a sports bra in this video. I guess because this was my first ever booktube video, I was still kind of like bordering, like bridging the gap between fitness YouTube, which is what I was doing before, and then booktube. And so I was just used to wearing athleisure, not even athleisure, like actual active wear all day, every day. And so I would just live in sports bras. Like that's all I wore. So that's why I'm wearing a sports bra in this wrap up. Anyways, let's keep going.
Exciting for me because this is the first ever monthly reading wrap up I am doing here on YouTube. As you guys know, I have just been falling back in love with reading for the past couple of years, and I've decided to just show more of that side of my life here on YouTube. So yeah, without further ado, we started off the month by
I feel like I still say that a lot. So without further ado,
reading Two Twisted Friends. This book came out on October 13th or 14th, I believe, but I did receive an ARC, which I am so grateful for. This is a sequel to a duology. It is a YA gothic fantasy crispy leaf fall vibe book. So just
crispy leaf fall vibe book. I need to bring that back.
Absolutely perfect for the season. The first book in the series is called One Dark Window, which I read last month. And in this series, we start off following a girl named Elspeth, who lives in a world where magic is very interesting. In this world, if magic manifests in a person, that person gets punished for it. It's seen as kind of an illness and something to be taken care of quick. But there is another magic system in this world where magic is manifested into these cards. So way back in time, there was an old king who crafted these 12 magic providence cards, and these cards ended up being distributed to kind of the
Wow, I was going like pretty in depth with the synopsis, like right off the bat in my first ever wrap up. I feel like, do I still go this deep into synopses in my current wrap-ups, like my more recent wrap-ups? I feel like I spend a little bit more time with them. Maybe I've gotten better at summarizing synopses instead of giving like every single detail of what happens and explaining the magic system in detail. I feel like we're going in here.
Higher, more noble royal families to, be used by kind of the upper class. The world that we're living in is called Blunder, and it has been overcome by this mysterious mist, which will give you illness and which will give you...
Yeah, I feel like I usually don't go into like specific names. Like I wouldn't say it's called Blunder these days, I don't think. Anyways, let's kind of skip through the synopsis.
We get put on this amazing journey that spans across the 2 books. I really loved this series in general. The first book, One Dark Window, I absolutely loved, and then Two Twisted Crowns was just like perfect. Like it was so much better. As I said,
if it was perfect, why did I only give a 4.5 stars? What's going on there, Jamie?
Perfect fall vibes. A really unique and interesting magic system. I've never read a book with a magic system like this. And yeah, I just thought all the characters were really interesting to read about. They all had some good depth in them. And the series is only a duology. So I know a lot of people kind of shy away from fantasy because a lot of fantasy just consists of like really long series where you have to commit to a lot of books. But this...
The Cosmere Stormlight Archive, anyone?
This one's a duology. It's only 2 books and it's perfect. So yeah, that's Two Twisted Crowns. Next up, I decided to read a romance palette cleanser. So I read After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is...
Oh, yeah, I was going through all the Taylor Jenkins Reid in this era. Also, what is going on with these bookshelves? Look how few books I have. I remember this one bookshelf. This was my first kind of like big bookshelf that I got for this room in this house. And I remember feeling so excited that I finally had a place to like stack and display my books. But so funny, like this entire wall now, I mean, you can see it behind me, but like we've expanded the library since this video. Also, these fake vine things. Honestly, I would love to have real plants in my room, but my cats will chew all kinds of vines. And even with this like fake plastic one that honestly I don't think looks very good, I remember getting this because I was like, I want some sort of anything that resembles greenery in my room. But even this plastic vine thing, artificial vine thing, my cats would just chew on. So I've given up on the plants. I've given up on the vines. You will not see green in my house unless it's like green furniture, but like green plants, I can't do it. My cats won't let me. Okay, what did I think of this TJR?
Is an adult romance novel, and we follow our main girl Lauren, who is in a marriage with Ryan, who is someone who she's been seeing since like forever, it seems. They met while they were in school. They stayed together for so many years. Eventually they got married, but their marriage is not in a good place when we pick up this book. So they decide to do something...
Oh no, this was not the sad one. This was the annoying one for me.
Very unconventional in a marriage, and decide to split up for an entire year. And by split up, they mean 0 contact, the freedom to do whatever they want with whomever they want. So freedom to date around, get into any other relationships. And then at the
this hair elastic that's on my wrist is bothering me so much.
End of the year, they plan on getting together again and just deciding from there if it's worth it to keep trying or to split up and divorce for real. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read quite a few of her books now. I've definitely read all of her newer ones, and I'm kind of slowly picking off at her older books. And this one is, I believe, one of...
I think I still have one more Taylor Jenkins Reid to read. What is it? I have it on my wish list so I don't forget that that's the last Taylor Jenkins Reid that I need to read. But there's one more from her backlist that I still need to read. But apart from that, we're good to go. Also, did you guys see Taylor Jenkins Reid's Instagram where she basically unofficially announced her next book. She's been posting some things on Instagram. It's like March 2027 that something exciting from TJR is coming out, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
For older books, yeah, it's from 2014. And so when I picked up this book, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't even read the synopsis because I just wholeheartedly trust Taylor Jenkins Reid so much that I am happy to just pick up any one of her books without knowing what it's even about. And then I started reading, and I was very unsure about it because I'm the type of person, like in my relationships, where breaks...
I'm the type of person... Why did that sound so, like...
aren't a thing. Like, they're not a thing that I would ever do. I am so stubborn and also kind of like jealous and possessive.
I mean, yeah.
In that way, that I don't think I could just like let someone go off and date other people while we try and find ourselves and go back to each other. Like, to me, if I take a break from someone, that is a breakup. Like, you're not together anymore. So while I was reading this book, like, I was just against the whole concept of it. I was like, oh no, like, what have I gotten myself into? I kind of hate this. But that being said, kudos to Taylor Jenkins Reid, because I thoroughly ended up still enjoying this book, even though my entire body was physically reacting, like opposing the concept of this book. TJR's writing is just so beautiful, and she captures emotions so amazingly. I fully believed that these two characters went on this journey and like had this amazing self-growth. Like, I saw it. I believed it. And, you know, while this is something I would never do in my relationship, this book tugged at my heartstrings, and it worked. It did the job.
I do wonder what I would think about this book if I read it now, because I feel like I'm even more kind of tolerant these days of reading characters that I don't relate to whatsoever. Like, as long as they feel realistic, as long as their personalities are explained and developed, I feel like I do enjoy reading characters that I don't relate to more now than I did before. So I'd be curious to go back to this one and see what I think about it, because yeah, I remember feeling so opposed to it, of being like, what? This concept of splitting ways and dating other people after being married for however long, it felt so bizarre and felt like such a difficult story to tell for me as a book that read a little bit more romancy over fiction. But what did I read next?
Okay, so next we got introduced to the world of Stephanie Garber. I read the Caraval trilogy. I did read all 3 books in a row, and Caraval is a YA fantasy. Very fun, quirky vibes, kind of like a carnival.
Okay, we all know what Caraval is about. Let's get it moving.
Into the world of Caraval, and we begin our journey. My camera battery is about to die, so I'm gonna switch it out 1 second.
We're only 9 minutes into this video and my camera battery was about to die. Oh my goodness. Good thing I've updated my equipment since then, because with my 1 hour long wrap-ups these days, I'd probably need like at least six batteries that I rotated in and out to film that massive thing. What? I was using my old Canon M100, I think. Was it the M100 or the M50? I always get the 2 model names mixed up. It was either the M100 or the M50, whichever one's cheaper. That's the one I was using. And I remember actually my camera would automatically stop recording every like 10 or so minutes because it would overheat and it would literally need to stop recording. So it was so much harder to make long sit down wrap up videos like this back then. My camera now will last me forever. I honestly just I plug it into a wall for long videos like wrap ups. It's actually a trick that I recently learned, and so my camera can like charge as it records, and it gets really hot. I also turned off the shut down when overheating setting, so my camera might be melting on the inside, but at least I can record my long videos. We love equipment upgrades.
Hi, okay. I'm back. So yeah, that is the intro to this story. Our journey spans across 3 different books. Stephanie Garber, the author, just has an amazing way with her words. She describes things with such youthfulness and joy. The way she describes colors, fabrics, textures,
I'm so
smells,
excited.
like everything, it just seems so whimsical, fun, and it's really amazing because while Stephanie is so good at describing things where you can just picture everything, the words also just like seem to fall off the page. And I feel like in all her books, I get that feeling where I forget that I'm reading and I feel like I'm just watching a movie, which is like what I seek in a book. So yeah, amazing story.
That's not like necessarily all I seek in a book anymore, but in this era of my reading, I was definitely like looking for books that were just easy to read. That was my thing. So that's definitely something that's changed these days.
Telling, amazing, like descriptive world building. Stephanie Garber is just a master of vibes. I will say in this series, Caraval was my favorite, which is the first book. Legendary was my second favorite. And then Finale, which was the final book, was
Still
actually
true.
my least favorite. But that being said, I still like absolutely enjoyed all three of these books and the series overall. So highly recommend Caraval as well. Okay, next up is Babel by R.F. Kuang.
Ooh,
so this is definitely a book for smarter people. So this
Okay, so at this point from R.F. Kuang, I had read The Poppy War, the entire trilogy. I think I also read Yellowface. Did I read Babel before or after Yellowface? I don't remember, but I had at least read the entire Poppy War trilogy by this point, and I do remember reading Babel and being like, whoa, there's a lot of information in here. I wasn't really used to these books feeling so academic. Like when I was reading academia books, it was just more an academia vibe versus being an actual academic book with academic content in it. And so I remember just while reading this it was more the nuances of the translations of everything where I was like, this knowledge is going kind of like in one ear and out the other. And it was something that I just couldn't wrap my head around. Like I understood the concept of it, of having the magic kind of be a result of what gets missed in translation. And I found that concept to be so cool. But in terms of the actual words and translations themselves, it was so hard for me to like remember and keep track of like, oh, what Greek word means this, or like what does this translation do? And I think it is a book where you don't necessarily need to remember all of that stuff to understand the story. Like you will be reminded of it. R.F. Kuang will remind you of it in her writing when the time comes when that translation is important again. But I do remember feeling, yeah, a little bit overwhelmed with this one, but at the same time, absolutely loving this book, and honestly would love to reread it. There are so many books I want to reread. Oh my goodness.
Is a dark academia historical fantasy. That's how I've been describing it. And in this story, we follow a young boy who, well, he doesn't stay young throughout the whole book, but he starts off as a young boy. His name is Robin Swift, and he is from Canton. We are set in 1830, I believe, is when the book starts, and we span across a whole bunch of years. But yeah, we start off in Canton where Robin has lost his entire family. This is not a spoiler, but he has lost his entire family to cholera. So he is left alone, but this like English professor just comes out of nowhere, somehow knew where to find him and just picks him up and says, hey, I will take you back to England with me. I will take you in, like I will be your guardian. I will feed you. I will house you. I will provide for anything that you need as long as you do this one thing for me. And that one thing is that you must study languages. And so Robin's like, I guess, like, why not? Like, I have nothing else here. So they venture back to England where Robin grows up. He eventually goes to Oxford, and staying true to his word, he continues to study languages and translation for his guardian. That is Babel. So the reason why I said this book is for smart people is because it is a little more complex to understand. For me, at least, like I never studied languages. I don't know too much about like linguistics, translation.
I did study computer languages,
etc. So a lot of that aspect of the book was difficult for me to grasp. And to be honest, most of it just went through my eyes and just out my ears.
Yes.
Like just disappeared, okay? But that being said, as someone who didn't understand a lot of the translation stuff, I still thoroughly enjoyed this book. I still knew what was going on. And yeah, I think there are a lot of important messages that come through in this book as well. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend it. Don't read it if you are like
What messages, Jamie? I feel like I hope I've gotten better at getting across like what I got out of a book, what messages came through, what themes were presented to me, stuff like that. Why did I just say there were a lot of messages in this book? And that's it. Hopefully I've gotten at least a little bit more articulate over the years.
The mood to read something that will give your brain a break. This book really requires you to focus in and use your brain while you're reading. So definitely pick up this book when you're in the mood to like analyze.
Still
okay,
true.
so I gave myself a little fantasy break next and I read The Existence of Amy by Alana Grace Riva. This is a book.
This is one of the first books ever that was gifted to me. I remember this author messaging me on Instagram and being like, oh, I want to send you my book. And I was like, what? People want to send me books? And so yeah, this was one of the very first like physical ARC copies that I ever received in my online reading journey. So that was fun.
From a lesser known author, and she actually sent me a copy of her book just to read and review. So I'm really, really grateful for that. This is a contemporary fiction that has a strong focus on mental illness. We follow a woman named Amy. And Amy has a typical life. You know, she has a 9-to-5 office type job. She currently lives by herself. So Amy suffers from OCD, depression, and anxiety. And throughout this book, we just get like a really, really deep look into her brain and what she is thinking throughout just what seem to be normal activities in her life. Like when she takes the bus to work, we get a look into the things that she thinks about and what her brain is trying to process, or when she's at work, or when her coworkers invite her for after work drinks and stuff. So I thought this book was really interesting to read. I think it's also something very important to read. I will say, I don't think the story, like the plot, was the strongest here. I think the supporting characters in this book were also kind of very one-dimensional and not very well-rounded, but it seemed like all the side characters, the supporting characters, were there to just kind of push the story along, and were definitely oversimplified just so we could get the message of the story in a compact and neat way. So yeah, I did enjoy reading this book. Again, I don't think the story was the strongest, but I think the message there is very important. I actually ended up passing this book along to someone in my life who I think would really benefit from reading this.
I did. I do remember that. I was like, I think you're gonna benefit from this.
That is The Existence of Amy. Next up, I read In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, and this is the sequel
was this the
in
one that I
the
didn't
Love
like?
Light Farms series. You could read this as a standalone. This series basically just follows a bunch of different couples who live in the same world or community as they do whatever characters in romance books do. So in this book, we follow Evelyn, who is like a social media whiz. Like, she is Instagram famous. Her whole thing is that she vlogs or blogs travel destinations. She meets a big, strong, surly farmer boy. And yeah, this book is just them finding their way together, getting over their differences, and I didn't really like this book. I really enjoyed the first book in this series called Love Light Farms. That one is set like during Christmas. It's at a Christmas tree farm, and
I did like that one. I mean, you guys know I've come to the realization that I just don't really love holiday romances in general. I kind of just read them because they feel almost like a mandatory read, like to read a cute, cozy Christmas romance over the holiday season. But I think I'm giving up on that kind of tradition because I can't remember a holiday romance that I have actually loved, you know? Like, there have been some, like, what is it called? Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison that I enjoyed. Like, it was fine, it was fun, but I didn't love it. It didn't stick with me. So I'm giving up on the kind of holiday romances. So there we have it.
I don't know, maybe I just enjoyed it because I read it last year in December, and it really got me into like the Christmas vibes, and it was just so cozy and nice. But this book, In the Weeds, unfortunately did not do it for me. This book was just filled with tropes, I think, which all romance books are, but they weren't done well in my opinion, or I just didn't believe them. The characters were just very hot and cold, switching back and forth, lots of miscommunication, and I think especially after reading something like Babel, where the human emotions and issues are just so much more like complicated, like complex. Reading this book in the weeds where, you know, these two people just literally had to have a conversation and talk to each other and everything would have been fixed.
You say it, girl.
It didn't do it for me. This book was not it. It didn't romance. And then we move on.
It didn't romance. That's another one we need to bring back.
The Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber.
I read 6 Stephanie Garbers in 1 month. I need to get back to this era in my reading where I was reading series, universes, whatever, back to back to back, because how much fun was I having? So much fun.
So I actually read the first 2 books in this series right after I read Caraval, and then I reread the first 2 books again at the end of this month because the 3rd book, A Curse for True Love, came out very recently. So yeah, I wanted to do a reread and refresh my mind before it came out. So I have already talked about Caraval and just how I love Stephanie Garber's writing. How she wrote in Caraval is just like amplified like 10 times more in Once Upon a Broken Heart. Everything is that much more magical. Everything is so much more vibesy. And I also just like love the characters a lot more in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So this series, okay, we follow Evangeline Fox. She is I guess she's somewhat classified as a peasant at the beginning. She's just kind of
a peasant. Is she? Is that what she's called?
Normal girl living in her normal world, and there are 2 main things about her.
She's just a girl.
The number 1 thing is that she has pink hair. Love that for her. It's described as rose gold, actually, so even better. And then the second thing is that her literal biggest goal in life is just to find her happily ever after. She wants to find her like fairy tale love of her life. She just wants so that nostalgic, like magical, beautiful princess life for herself. So yeah, that's Evangeline. Go her. But we start off the story with her in kind of a pickle. She has fallen in love with someone who she truly believed loved her back. She thought this was the love of her absolute life until she finds out that he has actually gotten engaged to her stepsister, who Evangeline has never really gotten along with. And so she's like, what the heck? I don't understand this. Luke, that's the guy, she's like, Luke must have been bewitched. Like, there's no way. He for sure totally loved me. And so she goes to the Prince of Hearts named Jax, who is a fate. And fates in this world are magical, immortal beings who are very strong, very powerful. They all kind of have their own specialty, and they like to make bargains with humans, but not necessarily to actually help them. In most cases where fates make bargains with humans, the human gets kind of ripped off and the fate ends up taking advantage of the human.
That's how it always
Evangeline
is.
is just so like lost and confused, and she just needs like to find some way to fix this pickle that she is in with Luke, that she goes to the Prince of Hearts, who is a fate, and she ends up making a bargain with him, and she asks him to stop the wedding between Luke and her.
I'm going really in depth with this synopsis. Oh my goodness. Let's skip. We all know what the series is about, Jamie.
I need this series to be made into some sort of an animated movie because I need to see this brought to life. I did enjoy this series more than Caraval, and a lot of people ask if they need to read Caraval before this one because they are set in the same world, and to that I will say you probably don't need to read Caraval to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I think it would enhance your experience because yeah, we are set in the same world, so you get an introduction to it in Caraval. You also get introduced to some side characters and also one very prominent character who ends up being quite a main character in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. You meet him initially in Caraval, so if you want more of the backstory to help understand that character more, it is nice reading Caraval first. Also, if you read Once Upon a Broken Heart first, Caraval will be spoiled for you. I will say that I did enjoy all 3 books. A lot of people didn't enjoy Curse for True Love, or they're kind of like talking poop about it.
And what did you guys think of A Curse for True Love? I'm actually curious because I remember reading it and I was like, wow, I loved it so much. Like, was it better than The Ballad of Never After? No, but I did enjoy it so much. And then I think I opened TikTok and just saw everyone hating on it and everyone being like, what were all of these Apollo chapters? What were these? And I was like, I loved it. It created tension, it created conflict. I remember a lot of people wanting more Evangeline and Jack's moments, but I was like, I feel like we got a lot from them. But then, yeah, adding the kind of other perspective just gave us more excitement and more of a well-rounded story. Also, you guys, the lighting in here right now, you might be wondering, like, why does it look orange and yellow in here? The sky outside is literally yellow and orange. I think unfortunately there are some wildfires happening here, not like here, but like close to here, and it's affecting the air quality, unfortunately. So it kind of looks like the end of the world outside, and I'm kind of scared. Hope everyone is safe during this time, but yeah, that's why it looks kind of orange in here right now.
I don't know. I talked more about it in that dedicated video to that series. I think the way that book and story ended made sense to me. I do agree that a lot of things were left open-ended, which only makes me wonder if Stephanie is not done writing about this world. Like, maybe things were left open-ended because...
Isn't the Mirror of Infinite Endings coming out like quite soon at this point? I wonder if we'll get some tie-ins, end tie things tied up. You know what I mean.
Because she's gonna write some more spin-offs, which would be amazing, because it would be nice to revisit this magical world again. Okay, those are all the books I read. I am currently reading The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This is
actually one that I really want to reread too. Maybe I'll do an audio reread for this one. I feel like with the mysterious vibe of this one, it might actually make quite a good audiobook. I loved this book so much. I remember feeling like my brain just being like, what the heck is happening while reading this, but in the best way. Ooh, this is still to this day my favorite Adrienne Young of all time, of all of her books. I love that this one made it into
what is it even classified as? Hold on, I'm gonna check on Goodreads. This is an adult fantasy mystery. And so in this book we follow June.
Why was that funny? Why did I laugh at that?
Farrow. She lives in the small town of Jasper, and her family's kind of mysterious. They've never really gotten along with the church. They're like the only family in this little town that doesn't go to church. And there's just something a little off about the females in her family, where they all seem to kind of end up going a little nuts in the head by the end of their lives. June has no idea.
That was an interesting way to put it, Jamie. Okay.
Idea why. They just think that they're all cursed with this sickness that befalls them later in life. She also is constantly wondering about her own mother, who ended up going missing. So she's sort of kind of losing her mind a little bit. And yeah, one day it seems like she just walked off, vanished, disappeared. No one found her. And so June lives with her grandmother, who doesn't talk to her much about it. And so throughout the story, I don't know how much I can say without spoiling things. I'm like 2/3 of the way done this book, but you know, family secrets get uncovered, mysteries get unveiled. June gets whisked away to a journey of her own, and I still have no idea how this book is going to end. I'm just like on the ride. But that is what I'm currently reading, and so I will finish that book today.
I still love stories of where this kind of magical realism ability is passed down through women in a family, like down through all the generations. I still love stories like that, and where the women have to kind of keep this secret from having this magical realism kind of trait gene amongst them spread. Love it so much. So if you guys have any more recs of books with this kind of an element, please let me know. Like, I loved this one. What did I recently read? One and Only by Maureen Gu. Definitely more of a contemporary romance, lighthearted type of a read, but had a similar vibe of this magical ability, like magical realism, not full fantasy ability, passed down through generations. And I think I've read some more like witchy type books where this is the case too, but I'm always looking for more recommendations on books with this kind of a trope, especially for like the fall season. I feel like these books are perfect for that season. So let me know, because I still love this vibe.
Today or tomorrow, The Unmaking of June Farrow. I am really, really enjoying it so far. It's very mysterious. It never really I don't think this book ever actually mentions fall or autumn, but I'm getting fall autumn vibes from it.
Yeah.
We are set on a
Still the
farm.
same.
There's lots of mention of crops and leaves and stuff, and I don't know, for some reason, I know like crops grow in the spring and the summer, etc. But I'm just getting fall vibes from it. It's like cozy mystery fantasy fall vibes. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this monthly reading wrap up. This was a really good month of reading. I enjoyed almost every book I read this month, and I read a lot. So yeah, go October.
Go October.
I'm gonna leave you guys here. So yeah, again, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please, please, please definitely leave me a like and a comment if you like this type of sit down chatting video about books. If you don't know what to comment down below, just let me know what book you're currently reading. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
I still have the same sign off. I love it. Do that bell thing. I remember thinking I was so fun and quirky when I made that one up. Like the hi everyone, it's me just came kind of out of the blue, out of nowhere, but the do that bell thing, I thought that was so funny because I'm like, it refers to the subscriber bell, like the notification bell or whatever. I don't know why. I thought I was just being fun and quirky and not like the other girls by saying that, and now it's just stuck. Now it's just habit. I can't break out of that routine. So that was super fun. That was super cute. I feel like after watching that, I definitely have improved. I mean, for one, I feel like my overall production quality has improved. I've gotten a better camera. I've gotten better audio, microphone setup, and all of that. But also it is interesting to see my reading taste is kind of similar in the sense that I will still enjoy fun books like the Stephanie Garber books. And I was on my journey of reading R.F. Kuang and absolutely falling in love with her. And I was already getting sick of romance that felt too tropey, stuff like that. But I feel like I have widened my overall reading range since then, which I think is a great thing. I think overall I have gotten better at articulating my opinions and things that I get from books. But honestly, not too bad for a first booktube video. I feel like I did pretty good. Apart from a few questionable kind of lines and things that I said in there, I probably wouldn't put certain things in those specific ways anymore. But yeah, that was a fun little walk down memory lane. Sometimes it is fun and funny to go back in time and just see your beginnings, your first entry steps into creating content or posting videos or even photos. For any of you guys who are watching who have felt inspired to start a YouTube channel, a TikTok, an Instagram, or whatever, but you feel kind of scared or hesitant to, just start doing it, because honestly, if you look at a lot of creators' first YouTube videos ever, usually they're not that great. Usually they're kind of lower budget, and it's just one of those things where over time you get better, like your camera presence gets better, I feel like, because you just start feeling more comfortable and you just learn so much along the way. So yeah. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed walking down memory lane with me. If you did enjoy this video, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, I don't know, let's fill the comment section with some throwback books. Let me know what books you read a long time ago, but still remember to this day. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!